Hi everyone, Dr. Hill here. I wanted to take the time today to go over the differences between an allergy and a sensitivity, and I want to talk about that in terms of food and what we're actually looking for when we're looking at different food testing options for our patients. So let me start off by going over an allergy first with you and kind of introduce you to a few terms that'll help make a little bit more sense out of this. So the first thing we're going to look at here is we're going to look at the allergy. And an allergy is what you would be more accustomed to thinking about with, say, like pollen out in the environment around the change of the seasons. Thinking more seasonal allergies, so you come into contact with that particular allergen and you have a more acute, more immediate response from that. Those are also going to be able to be identified as what's known as a type 1 reaction. So a type 1 reaction. And those are also mediated by immune components, or what are known as immunoglobulins, so proteins in the immune system, and that are known as IgE. Kind of an easy way you can think about this is E, immediately. It's going to happen very fast in a relatively short period of time. Again, it's at more acute exposure when you start to notice some type of reaction to take place. So that's more of an allergy, that's more of a traditional viewpoint on it. This is also the point at which traditional testing is going to assess for an allergy, and these are really the only things that those tests are looking for. However, while you can have this type of immune response to a food, this is not the more common response to foods. More common responses to foods are going to be what we're going to classify as a sensitivity. So a sensitivity is going to be more of a delayed response. So you'll have more of a delayed response with the sensitivities. And sensitivities will come under the categories of type 2, 3, and 4. So you'll have multiple types of reactions there with a sensitivity. Now when we think about these, and if you're thinking about more traditional types of food sensitivity testing profiles, most of the time what those panels are going to be looking for is they're actually looking for what's known as an IgA or an IgG reaction. So it's important to know these things. These are the immunoglobulins for the more delayed responses. Typically a delayed response is going to happen over a greater time frame. You're not looking at the immediate exposure, you're looking at more chronic exposure with that. You're going to be thinking more on the time frame of probably somewhere between 12 and 72 hours, which if you think about that, you can kind of easily begin to understand the significance of wanting to look at a food sensitivity profile within that time frame, because if you're just trying to look at the foods or eliminate foods from your diet that you might be exposed to within a 72-hour time frame, that can get to be a lot of foods to try to work through. So it really helps to have some type of profile to start to look through to try to dissect that. However, with a lot of these more traditional sensitivity profiles, you are looking at just the IgA and or an IgG type reaction. But there are other types of immune reactions that are more delayed in nature, and those are what we're going to define as the type 3s and 4s. So really the more ideal type of testing here would actually look at a type 2, 3, and 4, and this is actually what we've transitioned over to, and there's a couple of benefits in doing that. With the type 2, 3, and 4 reactions, obviously you're going to be able to get a broader reaction from the immune system. So for example, let's just use dairy as an example. Let's say you consume dairy, and when we test you for a type 2 IgA, IgG reaction, you may not have any response to the dairy whatsoever. However, the way that your immune system may be responding to that may be through a type 3 or 4 reaction. So inherently you would get that test result back, and it would look like you didn't have any reaction to dairy, when in reality your immune system was negatively responding against that. So that's important information to know, so that way you're not inadvertently consuming foods that really are problematic for you. The other attribute to this, and the other thing that is really advantageous here, is that because the way these test models that actually look at type 2, 3, and 4, they actually narrow down the foods that you're reactive to, so you're not coming back with this long laundry list of foods that are going to be problematic for you. You're actually looking at a relatively short list of foods in most cases, and those are truly the foods that are going to be most problematic for you. way that these tests work, they're actually looking for changes in the size of the white blood cells, your immune system cells. So when you look for that change, you actually know that there's a response taking place when the actual structure of the cell begins to change and modify itself. So just when you're thinking about food sensitivity testing, food allergy testing, think about the differences between those two actual terms, but also now you've got some background to help understand what those terms are actually being able to tell you. Thanks for watching.